Top 10 career pitching records. Number 10, games played, Jesse Orosco. This is a journeyman relief pitcher that played for 24 years in the majors. You're looking at a guy that started at 22 and he retired at 46. He played so many years, but the one thing that he was a pretty decent relief pitcher for sure. He helped the Mets win a ring in '86. He was always on pretty good, solid teams that needed some solid relief pitching. Well, he was the guy you're looking at. He was a part of those Baltimore teams in the late '90s. He was a part of that solid team in New York for a while. Cleveland had a pretty solid team. So and LA in '98 and 1988, that was a pretty solid team. They didn't get. I don't think they won anything. He didn't win anything with the Dodgers. But anyway, he only got one World Series ring, which was the Mets. But he was just a solid all-around relief pitcher for sure. When you needed him, when you called on him to pitch, he was going to do it. This is a solid man that survived and played so many years. And you're looking at what he did. I mean, he played 8 years with the Mets, 5 years with the Orioles, 3 years with the Dodgers, 3 years with the Indians, 3 years with the Brewers, 1 year with the Twins, 1 year for the Cardinals, 1 year with the Padres, 1 year with the Yankees. He's just been around so long and accumulated to 1,252 games played. So it just goes to show just how important he really was, and just how many times he really got up to the mound because they needed him and how reliable he was. He was able to accumulate 1,179 strikeouts. He was able to get 87 wins under his belt as a reliever, 3.16 ERA. He did have 144 saves, which is really impressive. So he also did close out ball games. Accumulative of 1,295.1 innings pitched. So overall, this guy was very reliable. They knew what they were going to get out of him. When they signed this guy, and just all around they have to be proud of having Jesse Orosco. Every single team, and baseball has to be proud because as a relief pitcher, this is what you need. You need longevity, you need reliability, and he was always very reliable pitcher to come off the mound, and he definitely deserves to be earning of a number 10. Number 9, game started, Cy Young. I'm sorry I started a little bit. I just was going to start off with just talking about how he's pretty much get every record pitching wise in the book, really, and that you just cannot not put Cy Young on this. Especially since you're looking at the pitching awards. The pitching award is not called the Randy Johnson Award. It's not called the Nolan Ryan Award. It's called the Cy Young Award, and it's for the best pitchers annually. So it just goes to show of how much appreciation Cy Young has done for the game. He actually is, in my opinion, yes, he is one of the top 5 greatest pitchers of all time, just for what he has done. 22 years in the majors, and just he was not a 5,000 plus strikeout machine, but he had almost everything that you needed in a pitcher. You needed innings, you needed complete games out of pitchers, you needed quality starts. You needed those guys that can go in there and win for you. And he had so many great tools, and that's why he's got more than just one record on this book. So starts, we're going to talk about starts, is on 815. So we all know about Tommy John. We all know about pitchers. How sometimes their careers cut short because of these really bad arm, shoulder, just not the greatest type of injuries. This is very career-ending, serious injuries, and just pitchers at times just cannot pitch the same way. And you just look at Cy Young starting in 815 games. It's not impossible, but it's definitely really, really hard to do, especially when you're a pitcher now. And it's weird because Cy Young maybe he was just always just he was just a healthy dude, you know. Not everyone is going to be uh, super healthy, you know, but at the same time, 815 is something very hard to do. It's something that you can't just, you know, open your eyes, say, oh, I'm going to start my overall career 815 games. It's just so hard nowadays when you want some rest, when you want, you know, different things like that. It's a new era for sure, but 815 games is impressive. It's going to withstand. I think it's going to hold for a very long time. I don't think any pitcher will break that from right now, but you know, we'll definitely see. But 815 is very, very much a milestone. It's very much impressive, and number nine needs to be getting started for sure. Number eight, innings pitched, Cy Young. So I talked about Cy Young already with the game started. I've gotten that down. Innings pitched is something that's like it's just the ability of you being so durable and being there and being able to pitch. That's just a gift. That's something that like it's within you, like how your health is and stuff. And for him, 7,356 innings pitched, that is the most of all time. That is just it's crazy how hard it is really to be healthy in terms of now, where we have like advanced doctors, advanced technology, and of course, you know, Tommy John has not, until it's, you know, really crafted and players can actually get the treatment so they can get out there a lot sooner than, you know, stay there for 1 year. We will continue to have that stuck really in terms of them not being able to pitch for a year, and so it does not. It's definitely not something that's too. It's not really best when it comes to being a pitcher. Is you're signing up for possibly a risk of injury, but Cy Young was able to just become such a great durable pitcher for so long. And you're looking at, like I said, 22 years and over 7,000 innings pitched is a gift. So he definitely deserves to be on this list, and definitely deserving of number 8. Number 7, win-loss percentage, Alice Spalding. So this is actually a stat that actually does. In number 6, complete games, Cy Young. Yeah, this is a stat that's probably not gonna ever be passed. He's got 749 complete games in his career. This is something that's like impossible nowadays because there's so many great hitters right now in this era, really, and right now that really you can barely get by, you know, at least 5, you know, in a season. Like, you seriously do need that help from the relief pitching and your closer more than ever. Closer are at all-time high. Back then, strictly, you know, from just seeing the statistics, earlier baseball was more of starting pitchers would pretty much pitch out the game, and not much relief pitching going on involved. And if you were a, you know, world class, if you were, you know, just a top pitcher for your team and a top pitcher in the league, they're going to give you the ball the entire time, and of course your skills were the ones that dictated how much you really played and got on the field. And so his 749 complete games is insane, especially since he's had almost close to 50 complete games in a season. It's just insane, really. It's really insane, and just the skill you have to take. It has to take really to do that is it's out of this world. Definitely, when you look at it, Cy Young is just, like I said, a top 5 pitcher of all time. I will continue to say it throughout this countdown. He's a top pitcher of all time, and just incredible numbers that he puts up that will not be broken. His complete game record will never be broken, just because it's just so hard in this era. But maybe we'll see a once in a lifetime, a once in a generation type pitcher which can do some of these things. But more than likely that will not happen. But we'll definitely see. It's just complete games. That total number there is very impressive. That's just how it goes, and it's something that I love looking at statistics, and that one it just blows my mind. Definitely deserves to be on this countdown for sure. Number 5 wins Cy Young. So I pretty much have discussed Cy Young earlier in the countdown with him being game started. I've already dealt with talking about him in innings pitched and complete games, but the thing that stands like most accomplished, I think, for him is number 5, which is wins. To get wins in baseball, pitching wise, it's pretty hard, just because you need to be on top of your game, and you need to have just a great complete overall pitching performance for you to get wins in baseball. And he was able to accumulate 511 of them, which is very impressive because not many MLB pitchers can get to 511 wins. I feel like no pitcher will be getting to 511 wins in a very long time, and this record will stay for the rest of history. There's no pitcher, I believe, right now or anytime soon that will get 511 total career wins. Just overall, just exceptional work on the mound when he was there. That's why he's a Hall of Famer. And I'm just going to keep it short with this, but just there's a point where in this generation, in his time, he just dominated, completely dominated. He had over, there were some seasons where he had 36 wins. He had over 30 wins, like 4 or 5 times. So he was already impressive with wins. He was definitely, from what I see from the numbers and everything, he was a guy that did not come out and was not going to come out easily. He was going to continue to pitch and to compete, and that's something that you just don't see much from pitchers in history. And that's the great pitchers, and he's definitely one of them. Top 5 for sure. So number 5 wins. Number 4 saves. It goes to the greatest closer of all time, Mariano Rivera. And I was very lucky to see this guy play. Straight out of Panama. Played all of his 19 years as a Yankee in stripes, and was able to win multiple World Series, get recognized as the best closer of all time, become one of the most appreciated players really of all time in baseball. Everyone loves Mariano Rivera. There's not a single person that's ever had a problem with him. His humbleness, his work ethic, everything you see in Mariano Rivera is, from a Yankee standpoint, is missed. Yes, they do have some young guys. Yes, Dylan Betances is a star relief pitcher, and yes, he is going to be a really unbelievable, great baseball player, and he's going to be a great Yankee. But no one will ever be Mariano Rivera. What he did, 652 saves, and practically, pretty much never got many people on base. Just his overall presence as a person. 2.21 ERA was his overall, and he got 82 wins with it. Over 1,000 innings pitched, and over 1,000 strikeouts, and so many All-Star games. He was such a great pitcher in the postseason. He had an overall postseason. He played in 32 series, right? He played in 16 ALDSs, 9 ALCSs, 7 World Series. In that span, in all of those series, he had a .70 ERA cumulative. He was barely untouchable. No one could hit him. And when he was on the mound, if you were losing, you were going to lose that ball game because it's Mariano Rivera. The only exception I have is, yes, when he did blow that save against the Arizona Diamondbacks, which in my opinion was very, very, very shocking, just because I feel like that should have been New York's World Series. They should have won that in Game 7. Alfonso Soriano gave them a comfortable run. I was like, all right, the Yankees are going to win the World Series. Unfortunately, Luis Gonzalez ruined the party. But I think that there's no way. I feel like the Yankees should have won that World Series. It should have been theirs. They should have been World Series champs for at that time was going to be, I think, 4 straight in a row, which is a dynasty, obviously. Overall, he is such a great closer, man. Always had some great style about him, and like I said, 652 saves. and he's helped so many guys get through everything, some challenging games, and yeah, future Hall of Famer right here, first ballot. So deserves it. Number 3, shutouts. Walter Johnson, top 5 pitcher of all time. That's all I can say. Over 3,000 strikeouts. Had a 2.17 ERA over 21 years. Had 417 wins. Was starting in 666 games. He even had 34 saves in there. He had almost 6,000 innings pitched, and he had a whip of 1.061. He is a Hall of Famer, obviously. Um, and there's not much you can say, but he was such a boss, 2-time MVP. At times, I think he should have won 4 MVPs actually for that. I'm pretty sure at this time they did not have Cy Youngs, obviously, but or I'm pretty sure MVPs were just the pitcher's award. Yeah, great all-around pitcher. No one's gonna get 110 shutouts just because it's so hard at this day and age to even get a shutout. Sometimes hitters are more advanced. Hitters are just better. They're better trained. Pitchers, even dominant. It ends at some point. But 110 shutouts in his career. There was his highest one was 11 in a year, and that year he won the MVP. He pitched over 300 innings and had over around 240 strikeouts with a 1.114 ERA and a 36 wins. So overall, Walter Johnson, top 5 pitcher, 110 shutouts. That will not break. Great record. Shutouts are just so hard to come by, so that's why it's very impressive. It's got to be top 5. Number 2, strikeouts. Nolan Ryan. So you're looking at pretty much one of the best pitchers of all time, just because he had so many strikeouts, 5,714 strikeouts to be exact, which is very hard to do. I think, like I said, the only guys that really have come close are as follows, Randy and Roger Clemens, and I feel like Pedro could have, if he was, a little, if he developed a little still in his later years, still could have been productive with those 200 plus Ks. But so many guys that have just come so not close to it, because 5,714 is almost impossible at times to get. Actually, it will be impossible to get. That's just something that takes time, and for him, that's played for 27 years of that, just to get 5,714. It's just something that really you can't. There's not much to bank on someone to get that many. The only person right now that I'm like, he does have a chance if he continues to play would be Clayton Kershaw, just because he's so good at just striking out, and he's still super young, so he still can get a lot more. Like I said, Randy, Roger, Steve Carlton, Blyleven, Seaver, Sutton, Gaylord Perry, Walter Johnson, like I said, Maddox. So all these guys have had, they're all part of the 3,000 club. It's just hard to get into this club. Like I said, it's hard to get that many strikeouts now. Just because, like I said, this is a continuous thing. But hitters are just better. They're just advanced. Everything has changed. The game changes, and but nothing to discredit Nolan Ryan for 5,714 strikeouts. Is just a great overall achievement that will never ever be matched. That will not be matched. And it's just something that of course he was a Hall of Famer. Just he did more than just that. He was able to have quality whip, 1.247. He had a 3.19 ERA, over 324. So he had 324 wins. Pitched over 5,000 innings and 3 saves, 61 shutouts, 222 complete games. So this is a man that was, at his best, and he was just, in his prime, definitely a shutdown type of pitcher, and just a one-of-a-kind pitcher. And we're not going to find another Nolan Ryan, so no point in looking for sure. But I like to see that record broken. I'm not going to say it's not going to be, but it's just very hard to do, and I think it'll take some time until someone can actually really truly break it. I hope it's Clayton Kershaw for sure. Number one, ERA, Ed Walsh. Um, yeah, he was going to be number one just because when you have strikeouts, that's very impressive. Wins, it's very impressive. There's a lot of things that are very impressive when it comes to pitching numbers wise, pitching stats and stuff. Saves are impressive. Innings pitched, complete game shutouts. There's so many things besides for me winning loss percentage and games played and games started. Those other numbers, yes, they could definitely be alongside with ERA. You're like, well, what can happen? But at the same time, um, the biggest threat to me is ERA. ERA is such a hard thing to come by. Um, when a person's ERA is so low, it means they barely give up anything and they're nearly unstoppable. You don't have to be a strikeout machine to get a low type of ERA, so that's why it's more impressive that you know just by not striking out much, many batters. I mean, you get a low ERA, and if you do it consistently, like having a 1-1-1, like in those type of numbers where you just barely get anyone to score, that's even more impressive. So, it's just a stat that's very impressive and not many people can do, and that is why they're number one. First of all, Ed Walsh. He played for 14 years. He started in 1923. Um, he ended his career in 1917. He went from 23 to 36 years old. But you're looking at through the years, you're looking at his ERA. So it was a 2.6 to begin his rookie. His second year, 2.17, 1.88, 1.60, 1.42, 1.41, 1.27, 2.22, 2.15, 2.58, 2.82, 1.33, 2.78, and 3.5. So overall, his ERA was always at a constant rate. His career ERA is a 1.82 ERA overall throughout his entire year of pitching. That was his accumulative ERA. That is impressive because you don't get that often, and that in itself is worthy of Hall of Fame. And you know what? He did get to the Hall of Fame. So, with that said, Ed Walsh is, like I said, he's not one of the greatest pitchers of all time, but just the way he could command himself to get a 1.82 ERA. On top of that, he had a decent amount of strikeouts, 1,736. So overall, he was able to pitch very well and pitch accordingly, and just smooth all around. Ed Walsh, you gotta give it up to him. ERA number one for sure.